And I hope he finds you today, by the way. I love to tell that story about the boy who left home and lived a very worldly, sinful, selfish life, involved in immorality and drunkenness. And like the prodigal, he decided to come to his senses and wondered whether his parents would ever receive him back. Would they? He didn't know. If they chose not to, he would understand, for he had disgraced them and disowned them. But he thought it was worth a try. So he wrote a letter home and he said, Mom and Dad, I'd like to come back, but I don't know if you'll have me. In a couple of days, I'm going to take the train home. And you know that the train passes past our backyard, and in the backyard there is an apple tree. If you will receive me, would you hang a handkerchief on one of the branches of the apple tree? As the train pulls into town, if there is no handkerchief on the branch, I will go to the next town. But if there's a handkerchief, I'll get off. Well, a couple of days went by, and he wondered indeed whether the letter had arrived and whether he could expect a handkerchief on the apple tree. And as the train pulled into town and he was peering through the window, he could hardly wait to see the backyard. And there, on that apple tree, there was a handkerchief on every single branch. Now, that's the message that we have to proclaim to lost men and women today. We can go to these apartments, we can go to our neighbors, and we can say, God isn't mad at you. God isn't trying to get even with you. God does not have his back toward you. You have your back toward God. There's a God who welcomes sinners, and when they are welcomed, there is a celebration in heaven and there is a celebration on earth, and we are followers of Christ, who said the Son of Man came to seek and to save that which was lost. He left heaven to be among men that he might seek them and win them. And that's what Moody Church really is all about. And that's why in the next years we would like to concentrate many more of our efforts to this community where God has planted us. Because Jesus said, as the Father hath sent me, so send I you. The banquet is spread. The handkerchief is on the tree. But I don't have to tell you that according to our own sinful nature, we never have a burden for people. We can stare eternity in the face and not care. It only comes when we begin to have our hearts beat with Christ in prayer and looking to him to generate within us the love and the compassion and the burden that we so desperately need as individuals and as a church. And it is then that God will begin to lead us. Men and women will be saved. And by the way, don't ever lead anybody to Christ without telling somebody else about it. In all of these three parables, they're always getting their friends together and saying, rejoice with me. And we will rejoice together. Why? As the Father said, this my son was dead and is alive. He's lost and is found. It is good for us that we make merry and throw a party. Because somebody who has been lost with eternal value has been found. Let's pull out the stops and let's rejoice. The boy is home.
Well, this is Pastor Lutzer, and of course we can understand the joy of the father. We only wish that the elder brother had also rejoiced because his brother had returned home. Here at the Moody Church, I have challenged people to pray for their prodigal children. And during prayer meeting, we have taken time to name these children, to put them on a prayer list, and to seriously intercede that God might bring these children back to himself and back to their families. One of the things that amazed me is, first of all, the number of people who have prodigal children. There were people in our congregation whom I didn't know well, and they stood up and told their story about their child, their challenges, and I was surprised at that, surprised at the number. Secondly, I'm also surprised at the evil of the human heart. I know I shouldn't be, but some of these prodigals were brought up in good homes. Some of these prodigals have been prayed for. But what we decided to do is to seriously intercede. In our prayers, we emphasized to God that there was nothing that we could do with these children, that there was no way that we could influence them. They had heard it all, and they knew it all, and that we would trust and believe God. Now, these kinds of prayers continued over a period of at least 2 months in our prayer meeting here at the church. And I was discouraged for a while because it seemed as if none of the prodigals were coming back home. But now, months later, I'm beginning to hear this story and that story about how our prayers are being answered. So because I end today with the story of the prodigal, my challenge to you as parents or parent, as the case may be, is don't give up on your child. Continue to pray for that prodigal, intercede for that prodigal, fast and pray, and who knows, God may answer your prayers.
Thank you, Dr. Lutzer. That was Dr. Erwin Lutzer concluding his message on Seeking the Lost, the last message in his series on What Would Jesus Do? There's no doubt lies are being told about Christ. Tomorrow, don't miss a powerful new series on Slandering Jesus. Running to Win comes to you from Chicago's Moody Church to help you understand God's roadmap for your race of life. The complete 4-part series on What Would Jesus Do can be yours on CD, cassette, or MP3. For full information, call toll-free at 1-800-215-5001. That's 1-800-215-5001. For information about many other ministry resources from Moody Church, visit our website at runningtowin.org. Don't forget, Running to Win is supported by listeners like you. This is Dave McAllister. Join us for tomorrow's edition of Running to Win.